Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Oh, we're getting down to the final days and hours of
Judd's Camp Note.
It's bittersweet because on one hand you've got the actual season on the horizon where you get actual football.
Yep.
But on the other hand, the Judd's Camp Notes journey always begins back in like the late spring, May. You got OTAs, and Judd's Camp Notes takes us through the June mini camps, and then the actual training camp. And
Judd's Camp Note.
only 2 days left.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the progress of the season, too. The excitement builds. I mean, you get the camp notes, but then let's see how the camp notes build to the next thing. I mean, this is all, as Kevin O'Connell would say, the football journey.
He does like to use the word journey.
He loves journey, yeah.
That's all part of Sam Darnold's quarterback journey.
He loves quarterback journey, but I like to just use, the great thing about that word is you can apply it to everything.
You could, yeah.
Honey,
I told you to take the garbage out and unload the dishwasher and take care of those leaves in the backyard. Listen, babe, it's all part of my weekend journey.
Yeah, weekend journey.
We haven't reached the end of the journey yet.
Exactly right. This coffee journey.
That's right.
This morning. And I started it last night because I ground up the beans last night. I put the water in the pot. So my coffee journey actually started hours ago.
Wow.
But came to fruition this morning.
Mr. Productive. We're going to get into some Judd's Camp Notes here with a major headline piece of news yesterday, even though yesterday was not much of a practice, right? It was very walkthrough-y in nature.
A little more than that, but it was 8 periods, which it's ordinarily like 10 to 12. It was very quick.
Yeah. But there was one key figure that we should talk about that made his return to practice yesterday, in addition to a hottest Vikings take coming up. But a shout out to Minnesota Rusco. They are the official podcast deck sponsors. So at the state fair, I should say, later this week. So on Thursday, we're going to bring several of our Score North shows out to the Minnesota State Fair from noon to 3 every single weekday. So 7 weekdays of the state fair. And it starts with the Score North Twin Show at noon on Thursday, then a 2-hour Purple Daily from 1 to 3 o'clock. And it's all on the Minnesota Rusco deck at the Score North podcast building, just kind of adjacent left edge of the grandstand. There's a map and all the information about our schedule at scorenorth.com/fair. And Minnesota Rusco has been Minnesota's hometown remodeler since 1955. Cody and Casey do a great job leading the charge there. Over 70 years of experience. And also, I should mention, their state fair sale is here. So you'll pay nothing for 2 full years on all of the different things they can help you with. Windows, doors, siding, bathrooms, kitchens, decks, roofing, you name it, they can remodel it. Find out more at minnesotarusco.com to make your remodel a reality.
Judd's Camp Note.
Come on. Football.
Should we get to it?
Yeah, let's
Should we get to the headline, the most important thing that the Vikings saw on the field yesterday? Now, he didn't take part in the 7-on-7 team, but welcome back Justin Jefferson to at least taking part in individuals. And while they were doing 7-on-7 and team, going to another field and having Mark Rippon, destined to be a coach someday, throw him the football. So just for some context on time missed.
Did you say Mark?
Yes.
You did say
Sorry
Mark.
about that. Yes.
Mark Rippon.
I've always been, but I mean, Mark's
Sounds like
uncle.
Sounds like a Twins reliever in the 90s.
Brett Rippon.
Mark Rippon.
Mark Rippon was a
No,
hell
it
of a
sounds like a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah, he's a hell of a quarterback. Won Super Bowl here, right, against Buffalo. Yes.
Uncle Mark?
Yes, Uncle Mark. Brett Rippon threw him the football. So let's go through Justin Jefferson's training camp journey, if you will. How about that? So he took part in the first full practice of training camp. The next day, day 2, the first day outside, he took part in about half of it and then was sidelined by what was described as a very minor hamstring tweak at the time, and we didn't know when he would come back. He then missed 13 full practices. That takes us to yesterday, which is day 16 of practice. Individual drills, side work, and this is where it's going to get interesting now. So what the Vikings have is they've got a practice left today and tomorrow. I don't know. I'm guessing one will be in full pads for sure, if not both. Yesterday was shorts and shells. I don't know when Jefferson is going to work back into full practice yet, but it's going to be interesting because, as we know, the receiver position is, let's just say, not in great shape.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison has had a marvelous camp. In fact, this is probably worth a talker at some point because if Jordan Addison can maintain the momentum that he's had in camp, he could be put on a really good year. He's looked fantastic. Jalen Naylor, it's up in the air as to what's going on. O'Connell got sort of testy when pushed on the fact that, is this a surgical procedure? What's going on there? And he shut that down as quick as possible. So we don't know there, but he was not at practice yesterday. So the ascent of Justin Jefferson and making sure that hamstring is set to go becomes more and more important because at this point in time, unless you go outside, which I'm still convinced they're going to have to do, but unless you go outside, Justin Jefferson is going to be, let's just say, your number 1, 2, and 3 all in the same game as a receiver. Naylor, I'm assuming he's out, but that is an assumption. Who knows? He might be back.
Okay, real quick before we kind of drill down here into some of these things you're throwing out. I love Kevin O'Connell. Fantastic head coach. Seems like an all-around good guy. Treats the media with respect, right? There's a lot of good things to like about him.
Absolutely.
It's hilarious to me that he and other NFL coaches get so prickly when asked about important injuries. And I get during the season, the process kind of plays itself out because they have to put guys on an injury report on Wednesday. And then they have to classify accurately, or they risk getting fined or losing draft picks, whether you are doubtful, questionable, or out, or probable at the end of the week. So during the season, they can kind of be dodgy about it because at the end of the day, at the end of each practice, they have to tell you, did they practice? Did they kind of practice? Did they not practice? So, 2 weeks before the first injury report has to come out, they don't have to say anything about Jalen Naylor's hand right now if they don't want to.
Correct.
But to get prickly when asked about it is kind of funny to me. Hey, that position group has already suffered some major turmoil.
Yeah.
And this other thing seems to be happening. Can you talk about that at all? No.
It was Seifert, right, that asked him, and then we got the Kevin O'Connell. You know what, Kevin? He had this demeanor in his voice when he was addressing Seifert. It's well, here's the thing about injuries, Kevin. It was oh, geez, he did not like being asked about that.
Well, the fact
but it's super important. Kevin has to ask about it.
Yeah, the fact he got prickly about surgery leads me to believe that that's on the table or it's been done. And plus he there's a lot going on here by this point in time too, and I think you as a reporter are sometimes at the whim of a coach. He can feel very free to take out frustration that has nothing to do with the actual question.
Right.
And so I think that's part of the thing too. It depends on how much bad news he got, right? Harrison Smith still not practicing. Andrew Van Ginkel still out. So it felt to me like surgery was a definite touchy subject. You could tell right there because Alec Lewis of The Athletic actually asked the first question, which didn't have to do with surgery, and O'Connell answered it absolutely fine. And then Seifert's like, well, is this a possible surgical thing? And O'Connell got very testy at that, which leads me to believe, again, something's up there. But all of this gets back to the point of getting Justin Jefferson back on the field is among the most paramount things. Now, in watching him run patterns, he definitely looked like he was not going full speed yet, which I don't blame him. He probably shouldn't be. But I am very curious about the gradual work back, and do we see him in team and individual drills this week, or is this a situation where he's just going to ease back in and you're really not going to see him in a full practice, full go until the week one or before the week one game against the Bears?
We'll do a deeper dive into some of the totality of the injuries and where certain guys are at. We'll do a Doogie episode of Purple Daily today too, so keep an eye on your feeds for that. But of all the different nicks and injuries, so Jefferson missing a month of training camp and now working his way back in, but slowly.
Yep.
To Jalen Naylor's hand at a position where they're just razor thin depth wise. Andrew Van Ginkel's mystery injury where he's been out for almost 2 weeks. Yes. Which one or two of these raises the red flag the most for you? I think it's Van Ginkel.
Yeah, that's a good one. I will say this. All indications are Harrison Smith is fine, but he has not been seen seen since August 11th. That's 4 practices. It's a game in which he wouldn't have played. I don't count the games, but I also didn't see him there. So
Did they confirm illness, or is that just kind of being
no, that's what
speculated?
O'Connell. So he missed his first. So I think it was Monday, August 11th, that Harrison wasn't present, and then a couple days after O'Connell talked, so that would have been last Wednesday, I think, before the joint practices, and O'Connell said it's an illness. He's out and he's sick. And then I think the expectation was, okay, he's going to miss a couple of practices, certainly not playing the game on Saturday, and then probably come back on Monday. So curious to see if he's back today. But it is sort of weird that he has not been around, and I don't know how long you're contagious for, because you want to be out of the building if you're contagious, but you're not contagious in perpetuity. And then but the Van Ginkel one's interesting because there's nothing obviously wrong. So it is there's no wraps that I can see. There's nothing where you're like, okay, that's a hand, or his leg is in a sleeve of some sort. And Van Ginkel is, let's see here, because I wrote this all down this morning. He has now missed 5 practices. He went out. His first miss was August the 7th. So yeah, I wouldn't discount that. And again, that is where the depth at that position becomes so important, because Van Ginkel and Greenard did a marvelous job last season of staying healthy. I don't know that you can assume both of them stay healthy all season now, which is where Dallas Turner steps up. Your guy, Gabe Murphy, steps up. Yeah. Well, Richter can play a little bit, but those two become the key guys.
Yeah, I think, and the reason I say Van Ginkel is, I think obviously Jefferson would be a bigger loss because you have nothing behind him for the first 3 weeks, and then once Addison comes back. So if that hamstring lingers or re-aggravates, that would be the biggest problem. I feel like they've been so cautious with it, though. They have a plan. They have enough runway. It feels like he's on track to play and be fine. When you have a mysterious injury and a history of some foot problems and stuff with Van Ginkel, really physical position, there's more depth to cover it because you've got Jonathan Greenard. You've got, hopefully, Dallas Turner takes a step forward, and my guy, as you mentioned, Gabriel Murphy, and even Bo Richter to some extent. Yeah, so depth-wise, easier to absorb a Van Ginkel chunk of time missed, but the mysterious nature of that, and maybe there's no mystery. Maybe it's just like, oh, he hurt his shoulder or something, and they're just not telling anyone. I don't know.
It's weird because on Jefferson, I feel like what I like to do when it comes to injuries is break down the conspiracy theory ability. And Jefferson, I think they've been forthright about it. He's missed a ton of time, but I'm the one who initially said, shut him down for as long as you have to. You do not want to screw with this. They haven't. He's tracking to come back. So unless there's a setback, I think his situation for as much time as he missed is really cut and dry. He was out there all the time. He looked fine. So it's not, I don't think that they were hiding a damn thing there. The Van Ginkel one is a little bit because he's out there, but you can't see a thing wrong. That's what sort of concerns you of, okay, is this, and 5 practices is not the end of the world, but that's a bit of practice time for a guy who you'd like to see out there more, and he's just standing around and watching. So because we don't have much information, I think I'm a little bit more, if the correct word is, leery on that one. And then if Harrison Smith's back today, it's fine, but it is just odd to me that a guy who is what's the illness that would keep you sidelined just from the building? You're not around, it does not seem. So, and the Naylor one definitely has taken an interesting turn, in part because of O'Connell getting snippy with Kevin about that. Seifert.
Let's keep going down the wide receiver rabbit hole here. You have a couple things on your get to list here. Let's save the how defenses might approach Jefferson thing for just a few minutes from now. Mm-hmm. Can you give us an update on what the first team wide receiver group looks like behind injured Jefferson and potentially, well, not potentially, but soon to be suspended Jordan Addison from what you saw yesterday?
Absolutely. So I was furiously, they did, towards the end of practice, they did a scout team defense going against the first team offense. And so I took out my Judd's camp notes and scribbled away State Fair.
You'll be able to find those, yes, at the Score North booth, Minnesota State Fair. Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, who is in the first team right now? Who do they trust? And of course, they used, with scout team stuff, since it's not full speed, they used Jefferson, Addison, But then what became intriguing is who else they used. I did not see Lucky Jackson, who had a very rough game on Saturday, dropped a potential red zone touchdown on Thursday, and a guy that I thought would be tracking up until last week would be tracking for potential reps there. He was not used there. So I thought that was intriguing. One guy that was used there that I think they like, and it's funny because they signed him as a special teams guy, and he cannot stop taking penalties on special teams, but he's made some nice catches, is the veteran Tim Jones from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So he was used there. And then what really intrigued me was this, because he hasn't done much in training camp. The other guy, number 89, Thayer Thomas, got some run there.
He's been sniffing around for
Yeah,
a couple camps.
But I mean, he's been around for sure. But I thought that was super intriguing, and I don't know if that's a placeholder, if that's something serious. All of this comes back to why I think they have to bring in somebody else. But it was interesting that those were the guys that I saw scout team-wise get reps with the first team.
Well, on the somebody else front, so your guy Gabe Davis, it was reported, was visiting the Steelers either yesterday or today. And then NBC Sports has a report, I don't know who had this originally, but that he's also set to visit the Buffalo Bills for a reunion after his Steelers visit. So the Gabe Davis tour coming back, he's a year and a half removed from the knee injury now, he wasn't 100% that first year in Jacksonville, but they cut him after 1 year after signing him to that contract. So he's only 26, and he's making the rounds right now with a couple AFC teams, but don't you think that it would, if he's making the rounds and the Vikings were interested, don't you think they'd have to jump on board now and like get him in for a visit? Like if there was any steam there at all, I feel like it would be percolating at this point.
Most definitely. 100%. The other one I think, and I forget if we have brought this up or not much, but the other one that I think could be a candidate, now it's probably a long shot, but it'd be interesting because he knows O'Connell and Sean McVay's system, is Odell Beckham Jr. And he's basically washed, but the thing about it is he can still catch the ball, and you would not be asking him to necessarily come in and save you. What you would have is a guy who would be an option there. I think it's also an incredibly valuable thing that he knows the system.
Yeah, my only thing is like Miami brought him in for a similar role last year, right? I mean, I'm trying to see how many. So Tyreek Hill did not miss a game last year.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle missed 2 games. So it wasn't like. So I guess you could argue that, if those guys would have missed games, maybe he would have played more. But he only had 18 targets in the 9 games that he was active for.
But you're looking for a guy. Because it's 3 games, essentially. You're looking for a guy that can step in and know your system, which I think he definitely would because the Rams system translated to what O'Connell does here. And you'd be looking for a short-term fix. So if you were, I would in no way suggest, hey, bring him in and sign him for the season and he's going to be a key guy. He's past that point. But when you're down Addison, potentially Naylor, I feel like you need somebody who just knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and I hear you. I
mean, I don't love it.
I feel like he's probably
there's nothing to love here.
I feel like he's kind of cooked. I don't know, man. If he had more gas in the tank, wouldn't he have been more productive with Miami last year? And wouldn't he have a job right now? It's Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, well,
I feel like we're getting lost at the nameplate here.
It depends on what he wants, though. It depends on what he wants. Like if he wants to be paid again, then absolutely not. I mean, I don't know what. I'm just trying to think of guys that could step in here and know what the hell O'Connell wants. And Gabe Davis. It's interesting to me that the Vikings are not tied into him yet. So I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. And I will say this in their defense: it is a short-term solution. You do not need a guy. I mean. Once you go across that pond to Dublin, baby, you're set again. Because Jordan's back then.
Right. Yeah.
So like we are talking about a very short-term fix.
One more thing on Odell, just I don't know, not to belabor the point here, but so he came in like, I don't know, after 5 or 6 weeks, and he caught 2-3 passes here and there, one pass. In a few different games, he caught like 1, 2, or 3 passes for the Dolphins. 18 targets. He caught 9 passes. 6 yards per reception. 18 targets. His long reception was 11 yards.
Yeah.
And he's 33 now.
Yep.
Two knee injuries. He tore his knee twice, I think.
Yep.
So they might legitimately, this might sound crazy because like the name Odell Beckham Jr., they might legitimately feel like Thayer Thomas or Tim Jones, because they're like younger and healthier and have been in camp and building chemistry, are a better option than big name. And Amari Cooper is still sitting out there too, but he's in his 30s.
I don't know. He knows the system though. Like it would almost have to be at this point somebody who knows the system, because they would play and then they'd be done. It's like the fast food of football.
It's
a drive-through.
You're being hired. It's like you're being hired for a job, like a contractor job.
A temp.
You're a temp. Yeah,
temp.
We need you for Odell. We need you for a month, dude.
Yeah, and
don't even need your passport.
And to go back to what we talked about a little bit yesterday, I also would not be surprised at all if they make a trade for one in the next week.
Yeah. Yep, there's got to be something brewing there. So, okay, back to Jefferson here. You said he was talking about just kind of his conversations with J.J. McCarthy and once Jefferson is back in and teams are scouting during the regular season, what might be different than maybe what they've been seeing so far.
Yeah, this is what's going to be extremely intriguing. And I will say this, it might look initially a little bit like J.J. McCarthy and Justin Jefferson are not on the same page. And I'm guessing that the immediate cry, the hue and cry about that is going to be, see, he missed too much training camp time. They're not on the same page. And then the defenders will say, hold on a second. Justin Jefferson showed up at all the off-season workouts and at a high school in the Twin Cities here to work with Jefferson. How can they not be on the same page? And this
between those two options, when he catches 2 passes for 14 yards after week 1, what is your take going to be?
I'm going to give you the intricacy of why this might occur, or what might look off. Jefferson now has talked about this twice. And so last week, McCarthy was at the podium discussing how he was, going through practice. And I told you guys that for that Thursday practice against the Patriots, the Vikings actually did some scouting work on the Patriots to check on tendencies and stuff. In part so J.J. McCarthy could have a good day. And McCarthy said he was talking to Jefferson about the fact that he looked at the Patriots' first preseason game on film, and then when they went and practiced on Wednesday against the Patriots, he didn't see those looks. And Jefferson said, get used to it. You are going to see a ton of looks on film that you are going to take notes on and think, oh, I got this, and Justin Jefferson's going to be absolutely exploit this. And you will not see those looks because teams adjust their coverages and their game plan for Justin Jefferson. So even if Justin Jefferson had practiced all camp, and as much as Flores does to try to beat the offense, he's not necessarily going to come up with the coverage plans and ideas that teams do exclusively to try to take away number 18.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting point because, and I think Darnold talked about this as well. So this is not the first time, and Jefferson definitely has. But the amount of different looks that you see on a Sunday that aren't on film because teams are like, we are not going to allow Justin Jefferson to beat us, which then last thing that becomes important to me is I say, okay, that is also where the run game now comes in. The run game becomes extremely important there because if they're going to take away Jefferson, you have to have a plan to punish opponents. The run game would at least do that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, rolling if they're going to roll a safety or if they're going to play too high, 2 safeties, because they want to take away anything that could be home run stuff, especially when Addison comes back, the Vikings should just pound the run. And in previous years, they've tried, and they just, with their interior offensive line, it hasn't worked. So it might be that simple for J.J. McCarthy. I mean, you remember the play in the third quarter when Kevin O'Connell was on the headset with the broadcast crew. And so they've got a pass play called that is designed to be a go ball down the right sideline. But it all depends literally on, are they playing too high safety, or does one of the safeties creep down in the box? Because if one of the safeties creeps down the box, the other safety has to kind of cover this route that's covering the middle of the field, and you're going to get a home run ball. I think that's going to be a lot of J.J. McCarthy's reads at the line of scrimmage, where you've got this play called and a check to this run, or vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
And it literally all depends on, is there a safety in the box? Oh, there is? Okay, we're going to pass. Oh, there's not? Okay, we're gonna run the ball. Just keep it super simple for him. The crazy thing about Jefferson is, teams spend the whole week, like you just talked about, trying to figure out, how do we not allow this dude to get free for a 40-yard chunk play or 10 catches for 150 yards, because he's that type of player. And according to Pro Football Focus, he has one of the highest zone defense percentages of any receiver in the league. Puka Nacua is way up there too. I think teams like to play zone against that style of offense, because McVay and Kevin O'Connell, with like these crossing routes and mesh concepts, if you're playing man, it's easy for a guy to get caught up in the spin cycle, little pick play, etc. So they play a lot of zone against that type of offense. So despite teams playing a really high level of zone and sometimes exotic disguised looks, or just like putting 2 or 3 dudes on his side of the field, he still has, last year, and with Sam Darnold kind of figuring out how to be an NFL quarterback, Justin Jefferson still ranked 6th among all receivers in yards per route run. So you can do all the things you want. He still is elite in the yards per route run. Obviously, the numbers he puts up for catches and yardage are historic. So really curious to see what that looks like and how J.J. McCarthy navigates it.
That's the key thing, right? It's like, okay, they're showing us looks we didn't expect. How quickly can I now adjust, and can we adjust as a quarterback too? So it's just going to be, I think that there are definitely some challenging things here. And I don't know that Justin Jefferson, having participated in all of training camp, would have gotten around the fact that they are going to see things they don't expect. And that also comes back to O'Connell, of course, who is very good at adjusting as well. Like, so much of this, I feel as if a lot of our conversations put this all on McCarthy, and that's not accurate. So much of this also comes back to O'Connell. And we sort of saw it a little bit in what you talked about, the third quarter on Saturday, when Kevin was mic'd up, right? Like the amount of instruction and the amount of things that he can do. And I mean, that was mic'd up, and he's not calling plays. So my guess is that McCarthy is going to be in his back pocket at times, and certainly Josh McCown's back pocket. So there's a lot that can be done here, but it's going to be very interesting to see how that works, how quickly they can adjust. And it's probably going to start with that Bears game. The Bears are going to come out and do something unique. They're going to do something that they think can take away Jefferson. I just believe that the Vikings run game, and by an extension of that too, the screen game. I think the screen game is going to be a sneaky big thing.
If only the Bears could face the Buffalo Bills' second-team defense for all 17 games, they'd be.
I believe,
great.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't the Bears kick the crap out of that same Bills second-team defense last year in preseason? And I don't remember.
That's an amazing preseason memory.
I forget if we got all excited about that.
I just look that up.
We're guilty of this too. We all get excited, right, about J.J. McCarthy looked really good in that one drive and stuff. But when you parse it apart, it's such a small part of the journey to the regular season.
Yeah, the quarterback journey. So those are the Justin Jefferson related updates. Before we get to a hottest Vikings take, can we do a quick Mr. Mankato update? Can we sneak a little Mr. Mankato update here? There's still a couple more practices, the third preseason game, but we will decide on a Mr. Mankato within the next week or so here. By the way, Podrigs is back on board for another season here on Purple Daily. Pumped to have our friends in Minneapolis back.
Exactly right. And guess what? Podrigs is back. And Podrigs, why does Sports Dad love their beer? Because it's very simple. Sports Dad's a simple man. And they make beer that tastes like beer, a local craft brewery, recreating Irish and UK classics, as well as great innovative craft beers. Now, my personal favorites, they have not changed. They remain the same as the last time I talked about these great folks. Red Chimney and Patty's Premium. They can be found in the old Land Nod factory at the corner of Broadway and Central Avenues Northeast. Their beer also now available in more than 200 liquor stores in the Metro, Rochester, and Mankato. Find them on Facebook or Instagram, or check out their website, Padregs.com. But I'm telling you right now, folks, that red chimney fall is coming. Football season is here.
Oh, let's go.
You got to give it a try. There's not a lot of good reds left in this world. Padregs has perfected one of them.
We're not allowed yet to officially announce what we're working on with Padregs, right? For an event.
I don't know.
I think we have to wait.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think so.
But
I was hanging out there.
Say,
I was hanging out there on a top secret mission last week about that.
oh,
Good
okay.
time at Padregs. At
Top
Padregs.
secret, huh?
Well, let's just say
In my bar?
Padregs is an Irish little joint.
Yep.
And if you look at the Vikings schedule, you can start to, I don't know, we'll talk more about it in a few weeks.
I didn't
That's all-
realize
that's
you
all
couldn't
it's
disclose stuff like that.
Well, I don't know if it's like done. Is it done?
I feel like
well-
I feel like it's done. I mean, I'm planning on it, so
It's on our
if-
schedules.
Like if I'm going, it's done.
So, okay, we'll talk more about it soon. Federated Insurance also here helping to power Purple Daily and powering a lot of businesses as the insurance and protection engine for small and medium-sized businesses, the backbone of America. Federated Insurance understands the importance for you business owners out there of protecting your reputation, your workplace, employees, financial assets. You can find a full list of industries Federated works with in all 50 states, by the way. They're Minnesota-based for 120 years, but they work with businesses in all 50 states, and they have tentacles in all of the states. Find out more at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours.
Judd's Camp Notes.
All right, give us just kind of anecdotally here off the top of your head, give us your top three. If we had, I think we should just name some Mr. Mankato finalists here. Like, who are the top four Mr.
absolutely.
Mankato finalists as you see it right now?
Max Brosmer. He's not just a candidate that has reached the final group. He is the odds-on favorite right now. I would actually throw in Zemiah Vaughn.
Yeah.
As much based on how he's been used, he's clearly impressed them quite a bit. I'm seeing here. Now, here's a guy that is eligible. Gabe Murphy is.
He is.
And
So,
he's
eligibility, if the people are kind of new here, we started Mr. Mankato the first year of our old radio show on 1500 ESPN Twin Cities back in like 2014. Adam Thielen, I think, was the first one that we awarded.
Yeah, he was thrilled.
We gave him a prize pack of a styrofoam cooler from Quick Trip and some Funyuns and a comb.
You can keep that.
And he was, I think he took one thing. He took like the Funyuns or something.
I don't
He was like, "Who are you guys? What is happening right now? What's going on?"
He was nice enough about it, but he didn't really enjoy it.
But it's third round picks or later, or unestablished NFL players. So there's a little gray area there with like the unestablished NFL player where the committee has to meet and decide who's eligible. Like Gabriel Murphy was undrafted, so he qualifies. But he was like part of the team last year, but then he's not really established because he didn't really get a ton of run. So yeah, Brosmer, Zemiah Vaughn, Gabriel Murphy. I feel like Tyree and Ingram Dawkins, the 5th round pick.
Yep, and there's him, and then a guy that did not make my initial watch list. Shame on Sports Dad, but the tryout signed out of the rookie mini camp, Elijah Williams.
Yeah.
So those would be my leading candidates. Zemiah Vaughn would probably be at the bottom of the list. Max Brosmer would be at the top. But
What
the
about
other
Xavier
three,
Scott?
He could be. I was trying to draw a line here a bit, but yeah, I guess if I'm going to do this, I would actually drop Zemiah Vaughn off the list and leave the other guys, because that's, to me, those next. It's Brosmer, Elijah Williams for sure, Tyree Ingram Dawkins for sure, and then Gabe Murphy for sure.
Yeah, that sounds fair. With a tip of the cap and a respectful nod to Xavier Scott and Zemiah Vaughn, right?
Just a slap on
we
the back.
see you, but we don't see you quite as much as we see Max Brosmer.
We appreciate you. You're both probably going to make the 53.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Judd's got right now. I think you've got both those guys on your, and you'll do another update Monday's episode likely at the State Fair.
Damn right, Phil.
Do a live 53.
Judd's camp notes. You can't keep them down.
People are going to get to see you operate a 53-man roster projection in person if they want at the State Fair on Monday. It's going to be a life-changing experience for many families.
Well, I mean, you got to know that when the only problem with it is it's all my secrets. So like they'll see how I operate and then they can steal it too.
Oh,
That's what I should do.
There?
A 53-man home game like a board game. Like the Purple Daily Score North board game where you take it home and you can do your own 53.
You could license it and they could play it in pubs.
That's a great idea. I wonder if I could make a lot of money off that.
Probably could, actually.
Okay, now just do one thing though. Don't tell the company I'm doing this.
Okay. My lips are sealed. On the flip side of the Mr. Mankato discussion, I'm looking at your Mr. Mankato watch list here.
Yep.
Not to pile on guys, because these are kind of fringe roster guys anyways, but is there anyone on here that you were hoping for a little more from? So I'll just name some guys on your watch list.
The answer is yes.
The Ty Felton, Trey Stewart, Kobe King.
Ty Felton actually, no, like, it would have been nice to see more, but I can't pass judgment yet. Like, I think he's a raw receiver. He's made some catches, so in his defense. And I think he's a raw player. But I'm not disappointed. I thought for a third round pick, I would see more. He looks a little bit more like a fifth round pick, but I think there's something there.
Wow, the disrespect.
I think he was overdrafted.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's going to be a bust by any means, but I'm saying when I watch him, I don't know that he's a third round pick.
Okay. Yeah, he's raw. He's raw for sure. But if given some time here, I mean, you can see it, and the fact that he caught. I think he led the Big Ten in catches and/or yards. I mean, he put up and he ran a sub 4 40-yard dash.
I'm patient.
So there's a lot there.
I'm patient there, Phil.
Your tight ends, Nesbitt and Urosek, we kind of talked about yesterday. Levi Drake Rodriguez, the injury kind of derailed his camp and opened a door for Elijah Williams to make the team.
Yeah, and Levi Drake Rodriguez up until then, I thought it played well. Getting first team reps.
Yeah.
So that it's a shame because I think in in my 2.0 roster 53 projection, I did this. I had him making the 53 and Taki Taimani not. Now I think Taki Taimani still does not, but yeah, there's definitely been a door opened by that. Drake Rodriguez was at practice yesterday. I don't know when he's coming back. So I was actually encouraged by his play, but he got hurt in the preseason game against the Texans. And we haven't seen him since.
Bo Richter was on your watch list.
Yeah.
He's had a nice little camp.
Exactly.
It's tough to outshine some of the other guys who we've deemed finalists.
Mm-hmm.
Logan Brown, he was the highest ranked undrafted free agent out of Kansas, and he just never really got any run with the second team offensive line. He was just stuck with the threes the entire camp and in the 2 preseason games. He's been good in pass protection, but they really like some of the guys above him. They really like Walter Rouse, who they're moving back and forth. Like looks like he can play both but he's more of a backup right tackle to Brian O'Neill.
Yeah, they're treating Logan Brown like a project.
Yeah,
fair or not, they're developing him. I think that they see a clear path to him to be on the practice squad.
If he wants.
Rouse was that guy a year ago because they liked him as well. But I think they just said, okay, you're too raw now. So I don't think there's a disappointment with Brown. I think it's more of you're just not prepared to play in the league yet.
Jeshaun Jones, wide receiver, Silas Bolden, the diminutive speedster from Texas, was on your watch list. And honorable mention for Michael Juergens, who is pretty solidly the backup center at this point.
Yes.
So that's kind of the exhaustive list of the guys that we were keeping an eye on for Mr. Mankato.
I think those 4, though, are fair.
I agree.
As the finalists, I think they are the clear-cut guys.
Max Brosmer, Elijah Williams, Gabriel Murphy, Tyree and Ingram Dawkins.
Judd's
Final.
Camp Notes.
I mean, it might be fun. We don't allow this, but it would almost be fun to name an offensive and defensive one because I feel like a defensive player from that list deserves a ton of credit. But Max Brosmer has also been a revelation from what I expected.
Yep. All right, let's do our hottest Vikings take of the week here, presented Dex by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
That's right. So my guy Cameron was able to come out to make sure this air conditioner was back. In fact, he even tested the capacitor in there. There's that battery in the top left. I had no idea what the hell the capacitor does. He gave me a little bit of information on that.
1.21 gigawatts.
The flux capacitor.
Yeah.
I think it was something of like, it has to be registering between like 31 and 35, and mine was at like 26.
Great
So
Scott!
It's I got to make sure that capacitor is working, and it's cooler right now, which is actually a good thing. You should go get your AC tune-ups now, so then when it gets warmer again, when we get second summer in the middle of September, that air conditioning is in a good spot, and your HVAC overall too. So go to standardheating.com, tell them the Purple Daily sent you. Go to standardheating.com, and they're powering these hot takes.
Renaissance Festival is powering Judd's Camp Notes all throughout the month of August. And they just opened up for the season last weekend, August 16th through September 28th. And that includes Labor Day as well. So weekends and Labor Day through the end of September, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And it's a great place to bring your family, bring the kids, a date night with the significant other. There's over 50 games, rides, and attractions. You can throw axes, shoot a crossbow, climb a rock wall. There's a petting zoo for the kids or for the Judds. Rides, games, arts, and crafts.
No comment.
And maybe you bring some other couples. You make it. You can throw axes together. Judd, Don, and some friends shooting crossbows, not at each other.
No, we kill
practice
somebody.
safety
No, we
at-
kill somebody. It wouldn't be us, but
jousting.
the odds of me getting a crossbow to go where it should are very
Pretty low.
Very low.
You can get discounted tickets and find out more at renaissancefest.com. That's renaissancefest.com. All right, it's time for our hottest Vikings take, presented by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
All right, here it is. A Minnesota Viking player in 2025 is going to do something that no Vikings player has done since 2011. 2011. Go back in the time machine there.
Catch a screen pass and go for more than
That's
negative 2 yards.
That's so unnecessary. And I
Aaron,
feel like
Aaron
it's
Jones was pretty good in that department.
Yeah. No, Jonathan Greenard is going to lead the league in sacks this season. He is going to lead the league in sacks. Now, let me
Wow.
give you my reasoning. This hot take has reasoning. A year ago, he actually, in his first year as a Viking after departing from Houston, he was tied for fifth with in sacks last season with Danielle Hunter and Micah Parsons. Trey Hendrickson, who clearly is who right now is in a contract battle with the Bengals, led the league with 17 and a half.
Super bizarre.
But if you look at how that dude has performed in training camp, and he's also part of the whole, like he was one of the most upset, offended, all of the above with the way that last season came to a conclusion. So he has come into training camp pretty much a possessed man.
So he embodies the more is required mindset.
Yeah, that's what he tweeted. In fact, he tweeted that after the Rams loss.
Love it.
That's his saying. He tweeted that, and it's been put on shirts that all the players, for the most part, are wearing now. It's going to be his second year in Flores defense. Now, pinning your ears back and rushing a quarterback is not exactly a difficult scheme, but I do think that the more time that you spend in Flores' scheme, the more we've seen it help guys. And with the way he's performed in practices, and he's sort of been, because you can't hit the quarterback, who obviously is wearing a red jersey, because of that, he's sort of been like this cage defend, he's like a guy, but I can't hit you.
Yeah.
And the last Viking to lead the league in sacks, recent Hall of Fame inductee Jared Allen with 22, a half sack off Michael Strahan's record at the time in 2011. So I think Jonathan Greenard, I think there's a real case here. This is not just a flighty hot take. I think there's a real case here to be made that Jonathan Greenard is going to have a dominant season, and especially if Van Ginkel is banged up here, this could sort of create some separation in the statistical sack breakdown for the Vikings.
Wow. I love this take. It's hot, but it's also not totally out of line.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like
if you look at process, so regular season last year, You mentioned the sack totals, but pressures are what you're going for first, right? Can you beat your guy, beat the left tackle, beat the right tackle, or come around on a stunt or whatever it is, and can you break through the offensive line? That's the first job. And then from there, okay, move the quarterback off of his spot, and that's a huge win right there. If you can finish the rep and get the sack, even better. But sometimes you're at the mercy of, does the quarterback bolt to the left, to the right? Like, getting the actual sack requires a little bit more luck and just different circumstances. But pressures are, did you beat your guy, basically, right? Jonathan Greenard was behind only 2 other players in the entire league, edge rushers, in total pressures last. He had 80 total pressures last year in the regular season. Only the aforementioned Trey Hendrickson and Myles Garrett were ahead of him. So he was just ahead of rookie Jared Verse, who was incredible for the Rams. Micah Parsons, who did, in fairness, Micah Parsons did miss a few games. Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Daniil Hunter, and a bunch of other dudes like George Karlaftis and Brian Burns and some household names here. So he is on that level the only thing preventing him from being in the conversation for best overall edge rusher, he's not quite the elite run stopping guy that some of the other guys are. He's a little bit more of a pass rushing specialist. He actually missed, according to Pro Football Focus, 26% of tackle attempts. So he had a lot of missed tackles. But if he can clean some of that stuff up, and Bursich was talking about that on the telecast last week, that, boy, if he can just like dial that in a little, and Gabriel Murphy too is kind of in the same boat. So yeah, man, I love this take. I think you're right. He might flirt with it, especially with Jonathan Allen and Hargrave giving extra push. It just takes pressure off the edge rusher in Jonathan Greenard.
And he's just such an ideal 3-4 guy too, because when you go back, Daniil in the 3-4 was outstanding, but he is at his core a 4-3 end. Greenard's the opposite, in part because of what you're talking about against the run, because I don't know with his physical stature that he is a set the edge guy. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But he is a very much pin your ears back and go get the quarterback guy. I also think it's intriguing now the Bears' offensive line, who the Vikings will face twice, is obviously improved, but Caleb still has to prove that he can avoid sacks. Like that sack, you don't get a sack total like Sam Howell did in Washington or like Caleb did last year and say every one of those was on the offensive line. That doesn't work that way. And the other thing that could be helpful is the Vikings play the Lions twice. The Lions' offensive line has gone from being absolutely outstanding to having severe question marks.
Yeah, It's a little rickety. Yeah, the other factor that makes this crazy, and then we got to run, and we will have a second bonus episode of Purple Daily diving more into some of these injuries. We'll talk with Doogie, but based on what this system calls for and the disguising of what they're doing and who's coming, of all the top edge rushers, Jonathan Greenard was right up there in terms of dropping back into coverage. So he actually dropped back into coverage on 15% of pass plays. Yes. Not because he's amazing at covering tight ends. It's more of when he flashes, because what happens is, like, you got 6 guys at the line of scrimmage, ball is snapped, all 6 take a step forward, and the offensive line has to commit, and then he bails out, but now the left tackle is looking for work. So it's a way to just kind of hold someone in place, and then something else is happening to the right, and it works. And then Van Ginkel gets to feast, or somebody else does. So we'll see. We'll see if Judd's hottest Vikings take there comes to fruition.
Possessed. He's going to be possessed this season. Yep. I can feel it.
A reminder, scorenorth.com/fair for a full schedule and location details. If you want to come and hang out with us, we're going to be out there. A bunch of different Score North shows, but a lot of Purple Daily. 1 o'clock every day, Purple Daily at the State Fair. So come hang out with us between noon and 3 every single weekday, starting Thursday at the Great Minnesota Get-Together. We'd love to see as many of you guys as possible. We will be available before, even between and after shows to hang out. And Judd likes to sign body parts, autographs. So if you have a pen and some space on your forearm, he can autograph you. It'll be great. No?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that. I'll be happy to talk sports with you, or sports dad
But no,
lifestyle
okay,
things.
no signing body
But I'm
parts.
not going
Okay,
to sign.
sorry.
Yeah, and I'll sign like a piece of paper or like you know what I'll sign?
The Judd's Camp notebooks.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, that too.
Or the Judd on a stick.
Judd on a stick,
Okay.
right across that big forehead.
All right, we'll see you guys with Doogie for a bonus episode, and then tomorrow for Write That Down predictions. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See ya.